The footnote. In the vast, meticulous archives of the Galactic Concordance, Earth was barely a whisper. Officially labeled Unremarkable Category 7C, Earth sat on the edge of a quiet arm of the Milky Way. When the first Concordance scouts scanned it millennia ago, they dismissed the planet as chaotic, polluted, and resource-poor. Its dominant species, humanity, was observed briefly, then judged unstable and too primitive to integrate. No follow-up missions were authorized. Earth was archived, forgotten, and ultimately listed as Footnote 4732b. For centuries, Earth stayed off every star map worth reading. But the galaxy moved on. Empires rose and fell. Trade routes shifted. Wars were fought in distant nebulae. And in the blind spots of a billion bureaucratic scrolls, humanity did what it had always done best: adapt, grow, and endure. By the time Earth launched its first colony ship to Mars, the Concordance hadn't spoken its name in 500 years. When mining stations dotted the asteroid belt and autonomous drones harvested the edges of Saturn, no alien diplomat had ever looked twice. Humanity whispered into the void and received only silence. That silence ended when the Zaan Dominion found Earth. The Zaan were different from the Concordance. Brutal, aggressive, and coldly efficient. They expanded not through diplomacy, but subjugation. Their ships were black crescents in the dark. Their soldiers cybernetically fused to armor that reeked of conquest. While scanning a decaying Concordance data cube, a Zaan surveyor noticed the anomaly. A planet with advanced signals, no known treaties, and no protection. A free world. They dispatched a probe. It returned with images of Earth's orbit cluttered with satellites, fusion-powered space stations, and early FTL experiments. To the Zaan, it was a goldmine waiting to be plundered. No defense grid, no alliance treaties, no warning system. Just one lonely species, loud and unaware. The Dominion marked Earth for extraction. Humans didn't know it yet, but the quiet was over. In a private orbital station above Mars, Elena Voss, once a test pilot for NASA and now CEO of the largest off-world manufacturing company, reviewed strange sensor data. Her deep space radar arrays, built to monitor asteroid threats, had caught a blip. An object moving too fast, too smooth. Not natural, not human. She requested data from the UN's Global Defense Net. She got silence. Then came the second anomaly, an unregistered signal near Jupiter. A fragment of a transmission, encrypted in a way no Earth language had ever used. It wasn't noise. It was code. Voss didn't sleep that night. Humanity didn't know it yet, but their name had been spoken again in the stars, not with curiosity, but with conquest. And this time, they would answer. The first blow. The first strike came not with thunder, but with silence. A deep space mining platform orbiting Mars, Outpost Kilo 7, went dark. No explosion, no distress signal, just silence, as if the stars themselves had swallowed it whole. Elena Voss had invested billions into that facility, and when her engineers failed to re-establish contact, she knew it wasn't a malfunction. She accessed the last recorded telemetry. It showed a dark crescent descending from the void, moving without any detectable propulsion. Seconds later, the feed cut. 3 hours later, a second event, an energy surge near Earth's orbit, brief but unmistakable. Voss sounded internal alerts and scrambled her private defense satellites. The UN Space Council issued no statement. Earth's governments were still stuck in committees, debating whether the event was even real. But the truth came crashing down, literally, in Pakistan. During a dust storm outside Quetta, something fell from the sky. Local villagers approached the smoking crater expecting debris. What they found was a sleek, black pod, split open like an egg. From inside staggered something that was definitely not human. 2 meters tall, plated in glistening armor, its 4 arms ending in blade-like fingers. It was wounded, leaking dark blue fluid. It attacked, and it died. Not to a military drone or a special forces team, but to a group of farmers wielding steel rods, kitchen knives, and a hunting rifle passed down through 3 generations. One of them recorded the entire incident on a phone. Within hours, The video spread like wildfire. A caption burned across every screen on Earth. They bleed. They can die. The illusion shattered. This wasn't first contact. This was an invasion. Public outcry drowned the government's attempts to downplay the incident. Riots broke out in major cities. Voss took a different path. She assembled a council of rogue generals, engineers, cybersecurity experts, and survivalists. Not politicians, fighters, builders. They called themselves Project Black Ember. Their message: we will not wait to be conquered. The Zan landed next in Madagascar, expecting a simple extraction mission. They deployed dropships and shock troopers, aiming to secure a foothold and install a harvesting platform. Instead, they walked into hell. Drones armed with fertilizer explosives swarmed their landing craft. Homemade railguns, powered by scavenged solar batteries, punched through their armor. The Zan tried to jam human signals, only to find the locals communicating by shortwave, Morse code, even flashlight patterns. By the time their fleet tried to retreat, half of it had been ripped apart by electromagnetic traps buried in old minefields. The Battle of Madagascar wasn't a victory. It was a message. Earth was not unarmed. It was unpredictable. In the war rooms beneath the Pacific, Voss stared at the grainy footage of alien bodies burning in the jungle. They came for slaves, she muttered. They found a species with nothing to lose. Humanity unleashed. The Zan Dominion believed they were facing a planet with one mind, one military, one strategy. They expected central coordination, predictable responses, and surrender once enough cities burned. What they got was chaos, brilliant, terrifying chaos. In the absence of a unified command, humanity became a storm of independent resistance cells. Some governments tried to negotiate. Others denied the war existed. But the people acted. Hackers in Seoul broke into Zan translator protocols and fed them false intelligence, convincing an entire fleet that Earth's oceans were acidic to their armor. In Brazil, bioengineers developed spores that corroded Zan synthetics. Somali pirates turned gunships into sea-based missile platforms. Everywhere, civilians became soldiers. Farmers retooled their tractors into armored troop carriers. Gamers operated armed drones through VR rigs. Junkyards became foundries. The old Cold War bunkers reopened, not to hide, but to strike. Zan commanders, bred for order and conquest, couldn't adapt. Their algorithms predicted conventional war. They couldn't fathom a species that built booby traps from microwaves or hijacked their targeting systems using mod smartphones. In orbit, Voss and Project Black Ember made their move. Using salvaged wreckage from the Madagascar battle and a captured Zan scout ship, they constructed a hybrid spacecraft, ugly, slow, but functional. They called it the Phoenix Bastard. Its mission: board a Zan mothership. The Bastard's engines were junkyard chemical rockets. Its shields were stolen Zan tech wired with duct tape and prayers. Its crew? Engineers, hackers, ex-soldiers, and one teenager who had flown hundreds of simulated missions but never left Earth's atmosphere. They didn't need to win the battle. They needed the comms array. Under cover of solar flare interference, the Bastard docked with a Zan mothership above the Indian Ocean. Fighting erupted in narrow corridors. Voss herself led the breach team, firing modified coil guns and dropping EMP grenades in every direction. They reached the central core, the FTL beacon relay. With blood on her hands and shrapnel in her shoulder, Voss plugged in the transmitter. A message burst across the galaxy. It wasn't polished. It wasn't diplomatic. It was raw footage, humans fighting in ruined cities, alien war machines dragged down by mobs, children helping load drones with supplies, entire communities rising in defiance. At the end of the broadcast, Voss stayed into the camera. Her voice was hoarse. You thought we were a footnote. You thought wrong. Come and read our story. We are Earth. We fight back. The transmission pulsed through the stars. On distant worlds under Zan occupation, rebels stirred. On neutral planets, alien news feeds lit up. Humanity was no longer silent. The galaxy watches. The Zan High Command called it an anomaly, a fluke, a primitive world flailing in desperation. But deep down, they felt something they hadn't in generations: fear. Their fleet above Earth was meant to deliver a final blow, an orbital cleansing that would turn cities into ash and people into statistics. But before the order came, the command ship's systems flickered. Something was wrong. Earth had hijacked their codes. Project Black Ember had cracked the Zahn's fleet AI using a virus disguised as a transmission echo, piggybacked on the same frequency they used to issue their orbital fire commands. Within seconds, half the fleet's targeting systems rebooted into a feedback loop. Two dreadnoughts collided. A third fired on its own escort ship. That was when Earth struck. Using the Phoenix Bastard as a decoy, Earth's first hybrid warships launched from a converted asteroid base. They were crude, bolted together from station parts and stolen Zahn alloys, but they moved fast, and they hit harder than anyone expected. Humanity had no shields like the Zahn, no precision lasers, but they had railguns powered by Earth's magnetic field. They had thermobaric warheads modified from oil-rigged demolition charges. They had pilots who didn't fear death, only failure. In 10 chaotic minutes, the Zahn fleet was in disarray. From the surface, old ICBM silos opened for the first time in a century, this time not with nuclear payloads, but orbital javelins tipped with harvested alien tech. The sky lit up like a second dawn. When the dust settled, a third of the Zahn fleet was gone. The rest jumped to hyperspace, retreating to regroup. But the war had already changed. Across the stars, the transmission Voss had sent still echoed. On slave worlds long silenced by Zahn dominion, uprisings flared. On neutral trade hubs, alien citizens demanded their governments take a stance. The Zahn, once the enforcers of order, were suddenly on the defensive. Earth wasn't just fighting back. It was lighting fires across the galaxy. Voss stood on the bridge of the Bastard, wrapped in bandages, staring at the orbital wreckage. "We were never meant to win," she said. "But we weren't supposed to matter, either." A comm officer approached. "We're getting messages. Dozens of species. Some are asking for help. Others want to join." Voss didn't smile. She simply nodded. "Then it's time we stop surviving. We start building." 3 months later, Earth launched its first diplomatic vessel, not under any alien banner, not as a Concordance member, but as its own power. The words carved into its hull weren't in alien script. They read, "You forgot us. We forged ourselves." The galaxy would never ignore Earth again.